Welcome to the An English Coffee Office. Today is Thursday, January 8, and like every morning, David and Alex are at the coffee machine.
Morning, Alex. Is the machine actually working today, or are we resorting to instant coffee again?
Good morning, David. It seems to be cooperating for once. I just brewed a fresh cup, and it actually smells like coffee.
Thank goodness for small miracles. I need a double shot to kickstart my brain this morning.
Rough start to the day. You look like you are already thinking about the weekend.
You know me too well. I have 3 client calls, back-to-back starting at 10, so I need to be sharp.
Well, grab your caffeine while you can. It is going to be a busy one for the project team, too.
Speaking of busy, did you catch that article in the New York Times yesterday about the North American energy grid unification?
I did see the headlines. It is finally official, right? The US, Canada, and Mexico are linking up the grids?
Exactly. They signed the final agreement on Tuesday. It is a massive deal for the energy sector.
It makes sense strategically. Stabilizing renewable energy flow across the continent should reduce those blackouts we kept seeing last summer.
From a sales perspective, I am looking at the infrastructure contracts. We are talking about $500 billion in new construction over the next 5 years.
That is a huge number. But I am wondering about the regulatory nightmare. Managing compliance across 3 different national systems sounds like a project management headache.
Oh, absolutely. But think about the efficiency. If Texas can pull solar power from Mexico during a winter storm, that is a game changer.
True. It adds a layer of resilience we desperately need. Though I read there's already pushback from local utility companies about pricing standardization.
There is always pushback when money is involved. But if it lowers costs for manufacturing plants, my clients are going to be thrilled.
It will be interesting to see how long the implementation phase takes. Infrastructure projects of this scale usually run 2 or 3 years behind schedule.
You are such a realist, Alex. I am just seeing the dollar signs and the stability for the market.
Someone has to keep your feet on the ground, David. It is not all smooth sailing just because a treaty was signed.
Fair point. But hey, at least it is better news than what is happening in the construction tech world. Did you see the Boston Globe piece on DeepMind's Architect AI?
Yes. That was fascinating and a little terrifying. The software designing fully code-compliant commercial buildings in under 10 minutes?
10 minutes. It takes our guys 3 weeks just to get the initial drafts done for a new facility.
It is impressive technology. They said it cross-references 50 years of structural data and local zoning laws instantly.
I was reading that it might cut architectural costs by 40%. That is huge for developers.
It is great for budgets, but I worry about the oversight. Algorithms can miss nuances that a human architect would catch intuitively.
Maybe. But the article mentioned it passed 99% of the safety simulations on the first try. That is better than most humans.
Sure, for standard structures. But what about creative design? If every building is optimized by the same AI, our cities are going to start looking identical.
Efficiency over aesthetics, Alex. If I can sell a warehouse solution that is ready to build in 2 days, I do not care if it looks generic.
That is the sales rep in you talking. As a project manager, I would want a human to review every single beam and column before we break ground.
Well, the unions are already up in arms about it. They are calling it the end of the entry-level drafting job.
I do not blame them. It is another disruption we have to adapt to. We might need to retrain our design partners to be AI auditors rather than drafters.
Adapt or die, right? It is moving fast. The article said 2 major firms in Boston are already piloting it next month.
We should probably bring this up in the strategy meeting later. If our competitors start using this to underbid us on timelines, we are in trouble.
Way ahead of you. I already sent a note to the director. We cannot be left behind on this one.
Good call. It is funny how technology pushes us forward while society seems to be pulling back in other ways.
What do you mean? Pulling back?
Did you see that feature in USA Today about the return of the landline?
Oh, I thought that was a joke at first. You mean Gen Z actually installing wired phones in their apartments?
It is not a joke. Sales of landline units are up 200% this week compared to last year.
That is wild. Why would anyone want to be tethered to a wall again? I live on my mobile.
That is exactly the point. The article called it intentional disconnection. People want to come home and physically leave the internet behind.
So you cannot text them? You have to actually call them and hope they are home.
Precisely. It creates a boundary. If you are not home, you are not available. It is about reclaiming mental space.
I guess I get the appeal of unplugging. But paying for a separate line just to avoid notifications seems extreme.
I think it is refreshing. The article interviewed a 22-year-old who said it helps her anxiety to not have a screen constantly demanding attention.
I suppose. But imagine the missed sales calls. If I had a landline, I would never close a deal after 5 p.m.
Not everyone works in sales, David. Some people actually want a work-life balance.
Touché. But seriously, are we going to start using fax machines again too? Is that the next trend?
I doubt it. This is more about social health and business utility. It is a reaction to the hyperconnectivity we have been living with.
Well, I am not jumping on that bandwagon. My smartphone is my lifeline. I would be lost without my apps.
Give it time. You might find that a little silence is worth the investment.
Silence does not pay the commission checks, Alex. I need to be reachable 24/7.
And that is why you are drinking a double espresso at 8:30 in the morning.
You got me there. But hey, as long as the coffee machine keeps working, I can handle the digital overload.
Let's hope it lasts a week. I do not think the office morale can survive another breakdown.
Agreed. Anyway, I better run. Those client calls are not going to answer themselves.
Good luck with the sales. I will see you at the strategy meeting later.
Catch you later, Alex. Try not to solve all the world's problems before lunch.
Time to get to work. Don't forget to subscribe and practice your English every day. You'll see how it just keeps getting better and better. See you tomorrow. Hope you have a fantastic day.